Jonah, the URL thing, Teams issue got sorted, right? Last time.
Yes, it should be all fixed for today. I actually joined through the invite through the event to this meeting, so it should be good.
Oh, perfect. Also, did Scott provide the list of features for the next release?
Not yet.
I
And I
believe,
don't know when they plan to release their version 2. So those are two questions I had for Scott today.
and I believe they have not updated the documentation on the knowledge base as well, right?
For what?
For the next release, because after they do the GA, then they will update the documentation over there, right?
I think they just continuously update it all the time.
Uh-huh.
Scott and his team, they
Specific,
write articles and publish randomly.
specifically for the next release, there's not, right?
Oh, you mean the PowerPoint he sends us?
Yeah, no.
They
I
won't
meant,
publish to their support site until the GA.
yeah, that's what I was asked.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm meeting with Bruce probably tomorrow to discuss on the documentation. So, well, I think, did you have any talk with Bruce, maybe in recent?
Just briefly, that we need to catch up with what Digital Hive has posted, especially the authoring section.
Oh, okay. Scott is here. Hey, Scott.
How are you?
Life is
I'm
good.
good. How are you?
Excellent. Well, it's back in 1 minute. I just have to get a drink. I've been
Great.
back to back all day.
Yeah.
All right. So we ready to go today?
Yes, things. I actually joined through the event, through the Your Learning event this time, so the link is working.
Oh, so you link to this meeting from another portal?
Right. Yeah.
Ah, interesting. How the how's the Teams integration going so far, or migration, I guess?
Not too bad. Folks are still getting used to it. A lot of. Am I sharing my screen? No. No. Okay. Give me a second. It's happened, I think, on every call.
Yeah, it's funny how people still say, "Can you see my screen?" Even though it says sharing, but
Yeah. Apparently, people are getting false flags because they think they're sharing and they aren't. They always said it on WebEx and they're always sharing, but on Teams now they say it and they actually aren't sharing. I don't.
interesting. Yeah, I've never had an issue with Teams.
But the interesting feature is like, even when someone joins a meeting for the first time, so it's like you get a pop-up over in the right top corner that okay, he or she has started the meeting.
Yeah.
You want to join?
Exactly.
Caught
Well, not only that,
I don't-
being able to access the chat notes after the meeting is a great feature too.
Yeah, yeah. That's the even the recording and transcript, everything is available there.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've been on a WebEx, and especially an IBM WebEx, and you go in and you go back to copy something, and somebody ends the meeting and it's gone. Like, okay, well, you know, next time.
I tend not to decline meetings because if a meeting ends early, I can hop to my other conflict. I usually have 2 or 3 meetings booked in a slot.
Yeah,
And now it causes havoc because all 3 will ping that it started at the same time, and I need I need only the one I want to go to ping.
yeah. So just to run through the agenda, so I'm using Content Hub
Beautiful.
as the
Yeah.
environment. It's all branded IBM, so I'm not using my custom Hive. I'm using the content, just not the container. Uh, so just kind of run through like I would demo. Was that?
Exactly. Yeah, we just want to get a baseline for folks who are newer to ACH. And
Yep.
then I think we'll end up taking this recording and building on it, adding maybe Watson Assistant, some other IBM products to our own demo script. But
Nice, yeah.
your baseline is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to throw out the disclaimer that I might say digital Hive here the odd time, but I'll try not to. Yeah.
That's good. All right. And Anisha's going to run this, and Felipe should join. I need to bolt to another call, but I wanted to make sure that you were all set up to start today. Scott, how's it going? Felipe, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can.
Yeah.
Perfect. This is an audio test.
Hey, Jonah, how are you, man?
Life is good, Scott.
Excellent. Yeah, we're recording, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool. So we can watch it back.
We had about a dozen folks try to join last week when it didn't work, so we'll give it a few minutes for folks to join.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to join from the link just to test everything.
Well, I think Scott joined from the Your Learning event, so it should be working this week.
Okay, good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session of the demo showcase. We're doing this we're doing this session again. Last week we have some technical issues that and now we are going to uh, do this session again. So we have we're still waiting. Let's wait one more minute so that everyone can join, and then we are going to start. Is that okay with you, Scott?
That's fine with me. Yeah.
Perfect. So let's just give a few seconds. Okay, so let's start. Today we have Scott. Scott is joining us from Digital Hive, and uh, he's going to show us how he makes his demo showcasing in order for us to take notes and understand like what's the current approach that Digital Hive is using, so we can be successful demoing and understanding uh, Analytics Content Hub. So with that, Scott, I think that you have the stage.
All right. Perfect. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So as Felipe said, my name is Scott Mason. I'm the CTO of Digital Hive. Been with Digital Hive now for about 7 years or so. Before that, it seems like another lifetime ago, I was an ex-IBMer and original Cognos person. So glad to get in front of you again to talk about Analytics Content Hub. Just the usual disclaimer. If I happen to say Digital Hive instead of Content Hub, forgive me. It's 7 years of habit that I'm trying to get used to overcoming. But I will do my best to keep it on brand. I don't know how we want to handle questions, or how you typically handle questions. When I demo, I allow questions, whenever they come up, just to make sure they're not missed. So if people want to ask questions during the, during the presentation, feel free, either chime in when I take a pause, or put it in chat, and we'll get to it that way. So what I'm going to show you is how we demonstrate Digital Hive, or Content Hub. First time if I failed, Content Hub. I've done literally hundreds of demos of the product. I've run into most scenarios, pretty much all questions that could possibly be asked I've run into before. There is quite the level of exposure for demoing Content Hub. What we typically do is we typically have a quick kind of get to know your customer, get to know the problems you're solving, pre-call, before the discovery calls, people call them, before the demo, just so we can hit on the salient points. But if we don't have the luxury of doing that, to really kind of navigate and gravitate towards what the specific requirements are, this is how we do a very high level demo that pretty much encompasses all the different features of Content Hub. So what you're looking at here is Content Hub. Content Hub is a solution that allows organizations to bring together content assets from different content systems. These could be analytic platforms such as IBM Cognos, Tableau, Power BI, things like that, or it could be from different content systems like Box or SharePoint Online, Google Drive, etc. So it's a way to bring together not just analytical content, but also the content that adds contextual information to the analytics themselves. So what you're looking at here is a welcome page, a landing page. So right at the top, you can see that I have some personalization built in. Again, it's just those little features that help to really personalize the environment for each user. And then you can see this homepage is made up of a couple different elements. So you see there's a combination of various text elements. There's images. There is even a YouTube video here. This is Bill Pranaro's demo that's on YouTube, but you can see we have the ability to embed different content types into the environment to really personalize and customize the experience. So this isn't a, Content Hub isn't a deployment that's going to look like everybody else's. You can really customize it and make it fit into your kind of your organizational needs and meet your branding requirements. All right, so every experience can be customized and unique. Okay. Everything you're going to see in this demo today is done with zero code. Content Hub is a zero code platform. It's all done via drag and drop, so you don't need highly specialized resources to build these experiences. And if I had to to kind of put it into context, if I had to build this this experience, this application, we call it a Hive, but this application, if I had to rebuild it from scratch, I could do it in probably about less than 60 minutes. All right, so that really speaks to the ease of authoring as well as the the drag and drop capabilities with zero code. One of the key things to highlight on this welcome page is that BI users are typical, they're creatures of habit. They typically interact with the same content on a regular basis. So what I've exposed here, right in the kind of heart of the welcome page, are this user's favorites. Okay, so these are my favorites when I log in. If other users log in, they'd obviously see their favorite reports. But this is a quick way before the user even has to search or start browsing for content, they can quickly gain access to the content that is relevant to them. Okay. So a couple of things about this, you see that these are favorites not just from Cognos, but they're favorites across 3 different BI platforms in this scenario. You can also see some visual, we call them visual cues, but there's some endorsements here that help to indicate the type of content that the user is looking at. So you see that there's this little flag here. This is actually certified content. So there's ways to certify content via a custom metadata catalog, which I'll show you in a minute as well. Then you can also see there's another one that shows up here that this is tied to marketing, right? So different ways to, categorize your content. And again, this is all done through visual indicators that the user doesn't have to do any, any digging or browsing. It's right here front and center. If a user wants to, engage with a piece of content, all they need to do is click on it, and you'll see this invokes a pop-up. So this launches this this Cognos dashboard report right here in the UI. And what you're seeing, you saw the the spinner. This is a live report. This isn't a a reproduction of the report. It's not an image. This is the live report. So all the interactivity that you built into the BI asset, the selections, the filtering, the drill up, drill down, the navigation between tabs, all that interactive analytical content or capabilities that are built into the reports and dashboards still function through Content Hub. So the end users don't lose any functionality when it comes to integrating or interacting with the reports themselves. Yeah. You'll also notice here there's some other content here. So these are other reports that are it's a proximity-based recommendation. So, typically reports in the same folder will be related. So this is a way to quickly navigate here. I put a thumbnail for this operational dashboard, but you can see that there's also a customer's dashboard and there's a data file as well. So there's different ways to get to the different reports without having to leave the experience. If I go back to the operational dashboard, I'll just slide over. So a lot of the contextual information that users like to get about reports is available as well. You saw I just slid over to the right, and there's a properties panel. So here, again, the thumbnail, if it's present, will be there. The different visual cues, that visual indicators will be there. Tagging. So Content Hub supports 2 different levels of tagging. So there's tags that are global in nature. So these are system tags that are consistent, that can be applied to different content. And then there's also personal tags. So for example, if I was doing some work on this particular, on a project, and this report was one of those assets, I could flag this as, project A, for example. Right. This makes it easy for me to retrieve this report when I do a search for project A later on. And you'll also see there's some metadata about, the type of object it is, who the author is, when it was last modified, created, things like that. And then there's also a custom metadata schema here that can be applied to every object across all the different platforms. So this is a way now to introduce consistent metadata across, custom metadata across all the different platforms. So you'll see there's a Cognos report, and I'll open up a Tableau report in a second, but you can see that, there's it's a certified report. There's the asset owner. That's the quality of data. and there's some, the key metrics that are exposed. There's also a rating and commentary system that people can, kind of crowdsource a rating, and you'll see where that really factors in a few seconds. And then you can use this as a discussion thread as well, right? And just put it into context. There's a schema I created, so you can have different types of data all being applied to this content. As promised, I'll open up something non-Cognos. I'll open up Tableau, for example, and you'll see if I scroll over here to the right, you can see that different metadata. But again, it's the same metadata fields being applied to Tableau this time because, like I said, it is that consistent metadata layer across all the different assets, regardless of the content system. And you can see here that somebody's actually left a comment here. So that's kind of the welcome page. It's really meant as an introduction or, an entry point into the application itself. But, if users are looking to do a little bit beyond just, interacting with their favorite reports, there is an ability to surface up all the content, or select content across all the different platforms. So what you see here is we call it the report hub, but it's a catalog page. It's the catalog view now of all the different content systems. So you see if I drill into Cognos, for example, I've exposed all the content in my Cognos environment. So I've mapped directly here to team content. And you can see now I can start to browse the different folders. If I go to samples, we're all familiar with that. I'll go into, by industry, there's all the different reports. So again, I can drill into all the different dashboards and reports to locate the content. So this is great if you're a Power user, you know where all the content is. You can gain access to it. If we go to Power BI, there are, 2 workspaces that are available here. So what I've done, instead of mounting everything in Power BI, I've only selected 2 specific workspaces. So you can see this one I have access to, this one I do not. All right, the little lock icons there. So Content Hub has the ability in the latest version to actually expose content, all content to users, whether they have access to it or not. And you'll see as I drill into reports, for example, if I go to click on this report, you'll see that you'll get a prompt that you don't have access to it, and point of contact. This is all configurable, but you can see now that in a true self-service model, it's difficult to request access to a report if you don't know it exists. And if you're only seeing the content you have access to see, you'll never know that these reports exist, which causes a couple things. One, the user leaves a question unsatisfied, or even worse, they submit an IT request ticket to create this report, and it gets created. Best case it gets created in Cognos, so the author will recognize that there's already a report. Worst case, this request actually goes into a different BI tool, and now you end up with a proliferation of content. So now you have the same reports living in multiple systems, right? So it adds a whole bunch of, that causes a whole bunch of problem like maintenance and usability. But now with this, we call it discoverable search. But with the discoverable search feature turned on, all content that is published, users can see that exists, but they wouldn't be able to access it unless they can actually see it. Right? If I drill into this Digital Hive workspace in Power BI that I have access to, you can see that all the different reports are here listed for me in this catalog view. Now, one question that comes up is, why do some reports have thumbnails and others do not? Some systems like Cognos and Power BI do not have thumbnails out of the box. So there's the ability to upload custom thumbnails. So that's what I've done here. So these are typically done on the top reports or the most frequently used reports. So we make the UI a little more intuitive by showcasing what the reports look like. But if you go into a system like Tableau, for example, that does have thumbnails by default. So you'll see as I drill into the different projects of Tableau, you'll see that all the thumbnails are coming through. And as I drill into, the workbook, all the different views have thumbnails as well. So if thumbnails are present, we'll pull them through. If they're not available in the source system, there's a way to enhance it by uploading your own thumbnails as well. Now, a couple other things I want to highlight in this catalog view is, in addition to browsing the catalog, there's other ways to kind of personalize the experience and gain access to content that users are I guess users typically engage with, or content that is really tailored for the user who's logged in. So for example, I showed you the favorites on the welcome page. So here's a way quickly in the catalog page I can gain access to my favorites. right? There's also trending reports. So these are all the top executed reports over the last couple of weeks. So again, this will look at all the activity across the platform and highlight the most popular reports. There's also recently seen. So there's a way to quickly get back to reports that I used in the past. So think of this kind of as the most recently used type view that you see in other applications. So again, unlike my favorites, these are all the reports that I've accessed or tried to access in the last few weeks. All right, so a quick way to quickly get back to content that you've engaged with in the past. Then there's recommendations. So Content Hub in the latest release has a recommendation engine built into the platform. It's Google TensorFlow, in case that question ever comes up. But using the recommendation engine, so looking at all the usage analytics of the platform, looking at the users that are like me, so share similar Content Hub roles or security roles in Active Directory. It looks at all the usage information and metadata available to it and puts into a recommendation engine. And similar to applications like Netflix that will recommend types of content based on your viewing history, you'll get recommendations being made to you in Content Hub that kind of cater towards the type of reports that you typically interact with. So in these demos, I typically use it sales and marketing type reports. So you can see that a lot of these reports coming back are all around, sales and marketing type content. There's also, you'll see this in the demo coming up, but there's also admin type reporting coming because that's the other type of reports that I showcase. So you can see the recommendations are really tailored to what I'm typically engaging with in Content Hub. And lastly, you'll see here that these are, we call it just in, again, fully customizable, what we call the labels and things. But these are all the new content. And you'll see the new content automatically gets a little new indicator on it. So this is a great way to highlight and showcase content that has been recently added to the environment. So think of the scenario where I create a great new sales report or operational dashboard type report. I publish it to Cognos. If nobody's searching for it, they won't find it, and they're not going to browse to it because they typically won't know it's there. So there's no way to really highlight that this report exists. This is a great way now to showcase. Even if you go back to the the homepage, for example, you could put we call it a content lane here, a swim lane, but you could add a secondary content lane for new content. So again, highlighting that there is new content that the user has access to right in right in their line of sight when they first log in. So great way to, highlight and publish new content and get instant return on that content as opposed to waiting for users to organically find it or browse for it. Now, of course, browsing is great, but if you don't know what you're looking for, Content Hub has a search mechanism. So I'm just going to go in and type in a generic search term called A. And you can see that in milliseconds, it brought back, about over almost 2,100 pieces of content. So all these different facets or filters down the left-hand side are ways to streamline, or reduce the amount of results that come back to guide the user to locating the type of content that they're looking for. So for example, if I'm looking for a sales report, particular sales report, I probably would have done search for sales, not A, but we'll work with what I've got here. So, just show me the reports that I can access. Don't show me reports that I don't have access to. Show me the best reports. All right. And then show me the reports that are certified. All right. So very quickly, I've taken, 2,100 results and I've brought it down to 4 objects. So again, great way to use the different filters or facets down the left-hand side to help really hone in on very specific content. Right now, some of these facets like type, source, stars, tags, these are all derived from metadata that is applied to the content naturally or by default. And then all these other ones down here are those custom metadata fields that I've configured inside a Content Hub. So again, a way to reuse metadata as not just visual indicators, but a way to categorize and filter result sets down while searching. Any questions so far?
Hey, Scott, what version are you showing, and is it the same one that we have in production for our demos?
This is the release that just came out, I guess, believe last month. So this is the latest 2.2 release. I'm not sure what you have in production right now, Scott, but this is the latest release of Content Hub that's available.
Okay, did any of the folks on the IBM side know what we have in the demo environment in the analytic? I thought it was 2.1. I don't know if it's 2.2. Okay, we'll find out with Jonah. I just wanted to see if there's anything that we're seeing that we don't have, but we'll find out.
Yeah, everything that you're seeing here is release product now. There's nothing roadmappy here or a future build. This is if you go back here, this is the actual build that came out 2.2.
Thank you.
So we've talked about, building up a custom environment. We've talked about, using a catalog page to surface up all the content. One of the powers of Content Hub is the ability to build unified dashboards that brings together content from different platforms into a single view. So what you're looking at here is a dashboard that looks like, probably any other dashboard you've ever seen. What is maybe not evident to a user unless they're familiar with the different platforms is this dashboard is unifying content from, in this case, 2 different platforms. So this is bringing together content from Power BI and Tableau into one single view. Okay, and again, similar to clicking on the reports and executing them, these are the live reports. So again, all those interactive gestures, the selections, the filtering, the drill through, all those capabilities still exist for the user. Okay, but this is actually now bringing together content from 2 different platforms. So one of the questions we used to always get was, is there a way to synchronize these views so that if I select on a field here, it would update everything? The short answer to that is not exactly. So because of the Tableau event, there's no mechanism that's actually going to filter Power BI, for example. But what Content Hub has released in the latest release is something called unified filtering. So I've actually built now, a common filter panel. So you can see I've surfaced up 3 different, 3 different dimensions. I'll choose category, I'll choose the South region, and I'll change the segment to home office, and I'll hit apply. What this will do now, this will actually programmatically go across all the different views and update the visuals based on those top level, kind of global filters, top level filters. So there's a way now that you can take Cognos content, Tableau content, ClickSense content, Power BI content, put it all together into a single dashboard view, and align all the different dimensions and filters that each report has. So instead of having to click on all the individual reports to set the prompt values or the filters, you can do it once at a top level. And of course, you can easily go back and change them. Or if I'll go back to the default view, I'll just hit change everything back to all and hit apply again. You'll see that the reports will re-render, right? And this doesn't require a common data model where all your filters are the same. You can have a filter called year in one. You could have it called period in the other. You could have it fiscal underscore YR. There's a mapping exercise that has to go when you're authoring for this experience. But this is a very slick way now to demo this cross-platform filtering capability. So this is something new that was added into the release that is now available for Content Hub.
Scott, if we have time later, can you show us that sort of back end of the experience for filtering across capabilities or across
Yeah,
sources?
Definitely.
Okay, later. That'd be great. Thanks.
So building on this dashboard, one of the trends that's really kind of emerging in the analytics space is all around data storytelling. Kind of hits on a couple of different agendas, mainly data literacy, as well as kind of the ability to consumerize analytics, make it easier to consume. So what I've done is I've taken this dashboard, which is very static in nature. It leaves a lot to the end user to interpret. So again, you're going to enter a lot of bias into this based on who the user is, or kind of what their history is with the data. What I've introduced or created is a data story, and this data story now takes all of those all of those visuals that you just saw and lays them out now in a much more intuitive manner. right? So you can see as I scroll through, all the visuals are there. But what I've done now as a subject matter expert is I've actually put in some, subject matter expertise to provide some high level scenario synopsis. So you can see here, if this is all you're going to read, kind of that too long didn't read type approach. There it is. This is the key takeaway for the environment, or for the data story. You'll notice in the previous dashboard that there was 4 KPIs down the right hand side. KPIs are great, but usually they're quick hits, right? You look at them for a couple seconds and move on. So instead of wasting real estate with content that doesn't need to be displayed on a regular basis or a permanent basis, I've taken those same 4 visuals and I've introduced a slider control up in the top that adds a little bit of motion, a little bit of movement into the experience, but also showcases the data. And you can see now that this number is red, so it caught my eye as a user. And as soon as I engage with the visual here, it stops the auto scrolling. All right, so I can do a little bit of analysis, figure out what's going on. Then as soon as I've figured out what needs to be done, or glean what needs to be extracted, I move away, and the auto scrolling resumes. And as we scroll down, you can see now that instead of just having that static dashboard kind of right there in the center of the page, again, I've added some more high-level summaries that gives the user base a good kind of foundation, a good level set of how to interpret the data. Right now, I've also put a note here at the bottom that says, a little bit how to interact with the content, right? So, click on each state and you'll see to filter the content, right? So again, added not just some, high level business summaries, but also a little bit of guidance onto how to use the report itself. If a user wanted to gain access to the metadata, you can see here that little information button is there, and all that metadata that was available in the other view is available to the end user right here. Of course, they can favorite that report from here if they like. Then one of the things that's in this new release is the ability now to have custom flyouts. So much like the information button, you'll see I put another information button here. But the reason I've done this is this is a Sankey report, and Sankey reports or visuals, unless you're used to them, they can be a little daunting to explain and work with. So what I've done here is I've actually embedded a video right from SharePoint Online, helping to guide my users about, this is our business expert here, our business analyst that's actually created a little video on how to interpret and leverage the Sankey reports, right? So now I provide a little bit of guidance embedded in line with the experience. Now, again, if I don't need it, I don't never click on it, but it's there for, usage purposes for your end users if they want a little bit of insight. Now, in this scenario here, this is an embedded video from SharePoint Online. But imagine though, if I had, a Cognos report here, and maybe, I want to expose a planning report, right, that had a little bit of contextual information. I could actually embed a second report. So it's almost like a drill through, but you can have your top level report here be, Cognos or Power BI, and you could have another report here helping to explain that report or showing the next level down from another system. Right. So this view right here is essentially a different page. So you could build this to, not just include one report or one video. You can also include an image, another text summary. So this is almost like a, page within a page that is evoked on demand. Right. This demos really well. So far in the demos that we've done with prospects and customers, this flyout is a huge hit because it shows a lot of power, a lot of capability that current BI tools on their own do not possess. And you'll see as I scroll down, there's all the different visuals. Now, because I have so much more real estate, you'll see I've actually introduced another visual or a few other visuals that weren't part of the original dashboard. Again, because now I've got that extra real estate to play with, through, not just the slider, but also laying it out more like a web page where, users are scrolling down to read. It gives me the luxury now of being able to, create a whole bunch of different information and present a whole bunch of different information that just that static one-page dashboard wasn't capable of showing. Questions so far? All right. So one of the other things that we highlight too in the demo is the ability now in Content Hub, not just to create catalog pages or dashboards, or data stories. You can create any type of page that you want. It's a free form environment that lets you build custom pages that could link out to, other websites, other internal sites. It could replicate your web page, your website homepage if you wanted to. What I've done here is, we've had customers that create little onboarding pages. Maybe it's the first time they use Content Hub, or they've rolling out a new application to a new set of users. But I created a help center. I've embedded a couple of videos here. There's a link to our help center that brings you right to your knowledge base. You can have different kind of FAQ type experiences. So you see, there's actually no analytics or quote unquote content being displayed here. But again, just another use case that can be surfaced using Content Hub. Okay. And last thing that always comes up is kind of on the administration side, on the governance side. How do we track, what users are accessing the platform? What are they looking at? What are they searching for? All that is captured through Content Hub. So right as part of the platform, anything that the user does from the time they log in to the searches they run, the content they engage with, the pages they view, everything they do in Content Hub is tracked. So what you see here is a high-level summary. This is just an app I created in Power BI. We have one for Cognos as well. But there's an app I created in Power BI that surfaces up that type of data. So you can see that, in this period, 860 reports have been executed, which equates to about 28 reports per day. And then you see there's how many reports have been viewed. So the difference here between executed and viewed is when I clicked on that report at the beginning, that that Cognos report, I ran it interactively. That's a report execution. Anytime I'm viewing reports that are already embedded in a page, like the data story or the unified dashboard, those reports count as viewed. So you see, we make the distinction between content that's being provided to users, as well as content that end users are searching for and interactively interacting with or executing. All right. How many active users in this environment? How many daily sessions are they creating? So 30 users are logging in, basically 5 times a day, basically. And then we can also break down the report executions by the platform. So you can see here, Cognos and ClickSense are our top 2 platforms. I could actually drill through a little further and say, okay, out of all the reports, what reports are being executed, who's executing them, when are they being executed? So again, full visibility into everything that's happening in the platform, right down to the report level. So this is a great way if you're in the process or you have a customer you're working with that, has multiple BI tools, as every customer does, but, multiple in the point where it's excessive. We work with customers with 10, 11, 12 different BI systems that they're incorporating into Content Hub. But you can see here, this is a great way now to get, that empirical data on what assets are being used, what systems are being used, and to help make business decisions on potentially what services or what systems need to be, deprecated and, removed from the environment. So you can see here, comparatively, relatively speaking, there's very little activity in ThoughtSpot and SAP Analytics Cloud. We get 12 reports that have been executed over this period. This might be, a good indication that maybe these 2 platforms can be, deprecated. And again, ultimately saving you money if you're not paying licenses you don't need, but also paying for platforms you don't need as well. Right. So this actually arms users now with using.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yep.
One of the requirements that we get from clients, and they like the Content Hub, but they have multiple solutions, is that they want to be able to use the search capability. Show me all the reports in the system that have the field, revenue, profit, you name it, right? They want to go beyond just the name and the description that's coming from the source system, but get into the actual data or metadata, if you will, even column names or data that's in those sources. Is there anything either in the product or on the roadmap to address that need?
On the roadmap, yes. So Cognos, Cognos has a report specification that includes a lot of that information, so it's easy to get to. A lot of the BI systems don't have that, that notion of a report spec, so everything's kind of queried on the fly. So with building the unified filters, which I will demo, and you'll see kind of where I'm going with that, is that's starting to expose the next level down of metadata about the object. So that type of information is things that we're looking to surface up in an upcoming release. So the short answer, you can't do it today, but the longer answer is it's on the roadmap and we're looking to get there.
And when you talk about roadmap, are you talking about 2024, 2025? Just want to have a realistic expectation in my head.
For that feature, that would probably be a 2025 agenda. right now it's slated probably for first half of 2025. But that's, based on how far we can take it. Now,
Okay, once you get there, if you're looking for any feedback from, real clients on the usability and how they might want it to work, please reach out, because we have been given that requirement several times and we haven't found an easy way to do it.
okay, will do. Kind of moving along the usability spectrum here, we talked about what reports are being accessed. Content Hub also tracks what searches are being executed. All right. This can be turned off for privacy reasons, of course, but it's on by default. So this shows you search is a very powerful use case in Content Hub. So that's why one of the things we want to surface up the kind of usability side of things. So you can see here that in this period 840 reports were executed. How many searches people are running per session. How many users are searching. Refined searches is how many times I've added I modified a faceted filter and searched again to help reduce the result set. So again, all this is all type of stuff we track. But here's really kind of the value is what my users are looking for. All right. Now as a demo environment, so you can see we search for A quite often. Actually, I'm the only one searching for A. But you can see here that we have 5 users searching for sales. Right. If this is a real world application, this would tell me that people are looking for sales type data or sales type assets. So this would be my jump off point to either build a new sales application or Hive, or maybe add a new page in this existing Hive. And again, you can see where people are searching from as well. But you can see here the Superstore Hive. That's where people are doing the majority of searching from. So I'd probably want to put a sales page or surface up sales content directly in this Hive right here. And then lastly, who's accessing the platform, when they're accessing it, what content systems are they logging into behind the scenes. So again, just everything tracked from, like I said, point of access to searching to content being executed. One of the other things, again, based on the customer requirements is the ability to personalize or rebrand. So you can see here that I'm just going to change views here to a different application. But you can see that Content Hub can actually surface up different looks, different different brands, all from the single point of entry. So this is great for customers. If you think of a a food manufacturer that's got different brands, maybe they want to have different Hive for different brands, or it's a customer looking to build a customer portal for their customers. So we have health insurance payers. We have quite a few of them in the U.S. And what they do for some of their customers is when their customers log in, say a Walmart logs in, for example, they'll see Walmart brand. When a McDonald's logs in, they'll see McDonald's brand. So they kind of built Content Hub to surface up unique experiences, customized experience for each one of their customers. All right, so different use cases when it comes to customization and personalization. But you'll see, because I'm logged in, you'll see that all my favorites still transcend. So my favorites are system wide. They're user based. They're not Hive or application based. So the usability and the experience is consistent for the users. When it comes to content, it's just the wrapper around it that can change. Now, Scott, you asked about seeing how to build the lens, how to build that cross-platform filtering. Actually, why don't I create a new page? I'll just show you right from the scratch. Again, this typically we don't do authoring demos unless they come up in a demo. But again, because it's so easy, we don't shy away from it. So what I'm going to do here, there's already a grid on the page. I'm going to go in and look for reports that I know have filters. Let's take. Actually, let me do this. Let me browse to. I forget the name of those ones. So I'll go to Tableau. We'll go into retail. This one. So what I'll do is I'll just drag this one visual on the page, and then let me go back to the search. Oops, and hit. Let me try to find a Cognos report here. Is that Cognos? That is Cognos. All right. Hopefully this works. Okay. So you see I've got city here as a prompt. in the report. So you'll see here lens is off. So what I'll do is I'll turn lens off on, and I'll add a field. So what it's going to do is actually going to go in now and look for all the prompt values that are part of this report. So you see I only have city. So I'll add city. And for Cognos, it actually lets me add suggested values. So I'll do that. So there's all the cities that are part of this report. Right. And then I can choose, what type of prompt it is, whether it's a slider. Let's make it a slider. And my default, actually, no, it's a multi-value. So let me do drop down list. And you know what? I'll leave the default value as all. Now, this other report doesn't have city in it, so it might be a bad example, but let me just show you how we do it. So I'd add another report. So it pulls all the different visuals from this report, and it's going to give me the prompt values and pretend there's no city in this, but pretend region was the city. Not call this city. And there's my lens created. So if I do save now, and I close this out, you'll see there's my prompt, and there's city. I'll wait for the Cognos report to render. So I'll change the city now to Brooklyn and hit apply. Now Tableau won't, so you get none because it's not a valid value, but you see I'm actually passing a prompt value. And you see now Cognos is filtered to Brooklyn. Okay. So that'd be a rinse and repeat activity for all the different filter parameters. So if you go back to the designer here.
And Scott, the match is just based on the name. So if both of those had a field called city, even though maybe the values were different, it's just because the name of that field matches, then they would both filter?
It's the other way around. So when you create your definition, you can see here that the filter or the dimension doesn't have to have the same name, right? What matters is these values because we're passing in Brooklyn. So you saw here when I ran it, we got result for Tableau and none because Brooklyn isn't a region, a valid region in Tableau. So you're matching on the data values. Did that answer the question, Scott, or did I miss the question?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I just got to let that marinate a little bit. So if the values are different, so if I have, a bunch of cities in one and a bunch of cities in another, but they're not the same, when you filter on city, you have to pick a specific value. So you're saying then because it's based on the values, one is going to come up with none and one is going to come up with some content.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is really meant if you're looking at, data sets. So you're looking at, a data warehouse, for example, and you've got Tableau, Cognos, and Power BI reports all create off the data warehouse. The values are the same, but the dimensions could be different, or the authoring is different. But you want to rationalize the view, right? So that's what you're doing. So let me go back and add that Tableau report. I'll add similar ones here. You'll see. This one here. So let me just add a few more here on here. Okay, so you see lens is on. Let me go in here. Let me just take a step back. Let's start from scratch. So let me delete that filter. Okay, so lens is off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and I'm going to enable lens. I'm going to create a new field, and there's all my all the different fields that I have in this particular report. I'm going to do a region. I'll call it region. And what I'll do now is I'll add the other visualizations to it. And you'll see now all I'm doing is picking the, they're all the same data set, so they all have the same name. But you can see here now that I'm picking a mapping region. And Tableau doesn't give you the default values, but I know one of them. Let's just do, I'll add a manual value called north. And let's add one called south. Right. So a lot of platforms let you choose a default value. So here's what's great. So if I was matching the Cognos like you saw before, I could suggest all the values. Power BI does it as well. Tableau doesn't for some reason, but there it is. And if I do save, you'll see now very quickly I've created 4 visuals that all share a single lens filter. Actually, let's wait for those to render.
Do you get any feedback on performance typically, especially when you're going across solution?
Feedback, well, the performance, I mean, we have no control over the performance. So you see here, modifying these visuals, if I change the value from south to north, you'll see it comes back. Oh, there's no north. I was northeast, but you'll see that the value comes back pretty quickly. Some tools like Cognos, they have to re-execute. It might take a little time, but no, generally no comments on performance. It's what the users are used to working with. If they're used to working Tableau, they're used to kind of this, almost immediate response. If it's a large Tableau workbook, it's going to be slow for them in Tableau as well. So we typically don't get comments on performance. The comments we do get is if there is, in this type of view, if you have a couple of fast visuals and one slow visual, then we get the comment, but we can't control all the visuals, right?
Sure.
So that's how easy it is to create. It's drag and drop and, map it and, select the values. Now we have some videos, and I think we are going to run a kind of a training session on this. I don't know if we're going to record it and just make it available or do it live, but we are going to do a training session on Lens and how to create the unified filters. So we can definitely make that available.
Do you have any existing training sessions available on the actual editing and authoring process of you've put together a lot of nice content, but you've also done this 1,000 times. So for people that haven't, what do you think are there any resources out there, I guess I should say, in order to help get some ideas or, learn how to use a lot of the new capabilities?
So we have a workshop authoring course that we've developed. I believe maybe Felipe can comment. I believe we're running that in a couple of weeks.
Yes, it's gonna be running in a couple of weeks. We are gonna share the link here in the chat, and also, so let me 1 second. I'm gonna share that link with all of you for the coming 2 weeks. Let me see.
Yeah, that was actually supposed to happen today, but we ran into the technical difficulties last week, so we kind of moved it out and we made the demo happen first. But yeah, there will be an authoring workshop coming up in the next few weeks. And then as far as we have best practice documents and things like that all around how to authoring best practice guide. That is available in the Digital Hive help portal, and I believe the IBM Docs team is looking to make that available within IBM as well, if it's not already.
Yeah, Jonah, that would be a great thing to add to our seismic, page for the sellers as well.
That's a good point. Seismic is faster than IBM Docs, so we can make that happen sooner.
So seismic is that something that's how do documents get there? Is it just videos or is it a doc library as well?
It's a doc library, so Anisha, I, or Felipe can upload anything to there.
Okay.
So this MP4 of this recording will be there later today.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, because I don't know what the conversion rate is for the Digital Hive documents, the Content Hub, but you might want to take a look at ones that we've added and put them up there as well, like the authoring best practice, for example. I just go there here. I want to show you. So we look at authoring's best practices. So for example, there's a whole document that I put together just based on creating hundreds of different hives for customers and demo purposes. So there's a whole bunch of things to consider and little tips and techniques that make it a lot easier. I'm still scrolling, so not so much content there is. It's just a question of how do we make this available to to IBM? What's the easiest way?
Yes, we can take care of that, Scott. So basically, we can make this available for IBMers using our internal channels.
Perfect. So Scott, this will be one example here talking about the performance. So you'll see, this Tableau model loads pretty quickly. This one a little faster. The Sankey takes a long time to render, right? But we start loading in things, as they become available. These two are click reports that haven't been mapped, but see, that one's still loading, so that's finally back. So What's nice about the way things load, especially if you're looking at this type of view here, there's content that loads quicker, so you have something to look at right away, as opposed to waiting for an entire dashboard to render. So you see that was Power BI. These Tableau ones are loading. And again, this one's even slower now. But there's also a setting that I believe is it's new to the release you have. It wasn't in 2.1, but you'll see now if I go back to this page, everything's already loaded. All right. So one of the best practices is in the designer now, there's a setting on the page that, if I go to the page here, executive review, there is a performance area that you can actually keep the page loaded. So when I did the demo today, what I did is this is already set. So I just opened up the pages before I started the demo. So when I flip the page, they're already loaded for me, right? You didn't have to wait for reports to load. So that's, in the next release, it's actually going to be on by default for all the pages, or you can set it globally. But right now it's based on the page. So it's a great way if you're doing demos, is keep that checked. Even if you want to run it live the first time, at least if you bounce back and forth between pages, it's already loaded. So you don't have to wait for it to load again. That's probably way beyond how we normally demo, but just kind of showing you how some of the, the magic happens behind the curtains. Right. Good.
And when you demo, Scott, to clients, you typically only demo sort of the pre-built stuff that you've done. You don't typically show them, let me show you how easy it is to build this stuff from scratch.
It depends what their interest is. So this is the Superstore demo is what I typically demo with. This is my demo hive. I used to customize a hive for every demo I did, because literally I can rebrand this in about 15 minutes, not even. So it's not that difficult to create custom demos, but most customers don't care about the appeal. So if they have a really strong branding requirement, I will definitely create a tailored environment for them. What I'll do in a lot of scenarios, just like I did here for this, I will create a new page on the fly, just to show them how easy it is. Just prove the zero code. I'll drag on 2 or 3 reports and maybe a video or something like that. And say, look, I just did this in 15 seconds. There's no real time, but you can see it. Overlapping, but it doesn't look horrible. You have all your branding, so you don't have to go into a huge demo to explain how things are built, but you can show how easy it is to build something, right? But I typically won't do anything custom for a customer unless unless it's really one of their strong requirements.
Got it. Thank you.
And actually, I showed this. That's something else I demo too. If reusability or reuse comes up, but oops, not there. So the demo that I did today, was this one? Yeah, this one. So what I did was I took the default Content Hub Hive that was there. I deleted all the pages. I added a personalized message. I found one of Bill's videos from YouTube and embedded that. My favorites were already there. And then what I did was I actually imported all these pages from my other hive. So 15 minutes before this demo today, I actually created this hive and got it done for the demo. And just to show you how I did that, if I go back to the designer here, even if I deleted, let me just delete all these pages again. So this is how, for demo, you don't have to spend a lot of time, creating something very custom. You can quickly brand a homepage. Create the brand. So that's what you see here, right? It's got the brand, they got the homepage, or just reuse what you've already got from Content Hub. You can go in and you can change. You can change the theme or the color scheme. So if I didn't want the color scheme from IBM, maybe I wanted the Digital Hive one. You can change it. All right. But let's get back to the IBM one. No, that's not IBM. That one is right there. So, just change the color scheme. And then what I did was I went to pages and said import pages. And I went to my Superstore demo and I said, give me sales dashboard, executive review, report hub, unified, no, not that one, help, and usage metrics. All right, I imported that. All right. Now I have, and I just exited, I reordered the pages, but now I have a fully customized demo that I've created here for IBM, just reusing the content from my other pages. Right, so you don't have to spend a lot of time to build something custom. You can just still do something custom and reuse other content you've built for other applications, other purposes. And yes, I went in and changed the color and things like that, or just kind of aligned, from the other environment just to make it a little better, like that color and this color here. But that was it, right? And I did it literally 15 minutes before the call. Right. So from a demo perspective, it demos really well and it's very easy to create something custom. But I usually don't go down that path anymore unless it's it's a requirement that they have is to really see their brand showcased. And actually, since we're talking about that, if I have to do a demo for I don't know, JPMC, for example, right? What I would do is I'd go to their homepage. I just grab, what their corporate colors are, uh, you know, maybe, screenshot this image. I would build a homepage that looks just like this and tell them, look, in a few minutes, I reproduced what your corporate website looks like, and now brought it into Content Hub to make it look like it's an extension of what you currently have. All right. So instead of having to spend time, and that's, to me, that's the biggest time, is figuring out what the design is going to look like. I just go to their corporate website for the customer, grab some images that are familiar, grab their logo that they use, maybe, the fonts or the different color schemes they have, and I'll put that into Content Hub. And literally, 15 to 30 minutes, I can have something very custom built for the customer. And I'm thinking what I'll do for the workshop is I'll show. It's not typical what we do for the workshop, but maybe I'll show that process as well, just to give it kind of a little more real world feel.
That's great. Thanks, Scott. We are at the end of the planned hour. I saw some folks had to drop already. This recording will be posted to Seismic later today and posted in the Slack threads that you guys can all access. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Felipe and Anisha, and for everyone for showing up, and Scott Reinflesh for driving the questions. Always appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right, later all.